Last night's Ballon d'Or ceremony was supposed to celebrate the purest excellence in world football, but instead it detonated a controversy that will follow the sport for weeks. Neymar exploded online after Barcelona's electrifying winger Raphinha was placed fifth. And the anger says much more than a single social media post. The outrage isn't dramatic puffery, it connects to a season that, on paper, looks impossible to ignore. Raphinha finished last season with numbers most forwards dream of: 38 goals and 26 assists in 69 appearances, 3 trophies for Barcelona, and performances in the Champions League that repeatedly changed matches. Put simply, those figures read like a top 3 case study. Yet when the voting closed, he was left outside the podium, and Neymar, who has never been quiet about what he believes is right, publicly called the result a joke. That raw response has lit a fuse among fans, pundits, and even teammates who feel the respected ritual of the Ballon d'Or may have missed the point this year. To understand why the reaction is so fierce, we have to line up the facts without the noise. Ousmane Dembele took the top prize, and Ousmane's campaign for PSG included domestic and European success with 35 goals and 16 assists. Undeniably brilliant numbers and a strong argument in a crowded field. Lamine Yamal and a few others also featured high up the list, each carrying their own stories and merits. But when you stack those cases next to Raphinha's output, the core question returns: how did he not break into the top 3? Numbers aren't the whole answer. Narrative, timing, trophy pedigree, and visibility matter in awards voting. But when raw productivity and influence are this clear, silence from the podium looks less like nuance and more like omission. Neymar's post didn't invent the debate, but it crystallized it. A megastar's public fury gives voice to millions who tracked Raphinha's season and felt the ballots failed to reflect what they saw on the pitch. Social feeds filled with clips of his decisive goals, pundit threads dissected sample ballots, and Barcelona's own corridors buzzed with disbelief. Beyond emotion, the fallout forces uncomfortable questions about how these votes are cast. Are they rewarding seasonal peaks, moments of global stage-making, or are other dynamics, media narratives, club influence, or even campaign timing, quietly shaping outcomes? The answer likely sits somewhere in the middle, but the Raphinha case exposes how subjective awards can reshape player legacies and fan memory. For Barcelona, the concern is practical. A perceived snub to one of their key performers damages morale and becomes a rallying point. Instead of letting the moment pass, clubs often turn controversy into motivation. Players who feel wronged come back ruthless, determined not to be debated next year, but to be undeniably top of the list. Raphinha has already started the new season brightly, and that fire could be the very thing propelling him into an even more spectacular campaign. There's also an ecosystem effect. Neymar's call for justice shines a spotlight on voting transparency and invites media outlets to probe deeper. Who voted, why, and what stories were weighed most heavily? That kind of scrutiny can push awards organizations to clarify criteria, or at least to expect tougher questions next time. For viewers, the spectacle is twofold: a dispute about a specific placement and a larger conversation about fairness in recognition. This is not just about a trophy, it's about how modern football decides who its heroes are and whose seasons are remembered. At the same time, the players themselves must answer on the pitch. Raphinha can't control ballots, but he can control his response, play, produce, and make the debate irrelevant by creating new highlights that voters won't ignore. Barcelona, for their part, will use this as fuel. Dressing rooms love a collective grievance that turns into a season-long mission. In short, Neymar's eruption is more than celebrity fury. It's a spotlight on a system and an invitation for Raphinha to convert controversy into conversion. More goals, more assists, and a season that forces voters to reconcile their verdict with the facts on the field. The Ballon d'Or may have its winners tonight, but football is decided on weekends and in knockout nights. If Raphinha and Barcelona respond the way their critics expect, this outrage might end up being the spark of something far bigger.